Across disciplines, the University of Maryland thrives on innovation. In the STEM field, research ideas lead to findings with the power to change the world. While setting up a lab may be daunting, new professors have the power to create and shape a community, making it supportive and collaborative so that faculty and students can turn their fearless ideas into real-world impact. We talked to undergraduate research assistants, research faculty, and postdocs about their experiences working in research labs and heard what has worked well and what advice they have for a faculty member setting up a new lab.
I've worked in about 12 labs since I started working in labs, so there's been a lot of differences, and probably the main difference that has impact, I think, has to do mainly with how a PI chooses to direct the research across individuals. So if they make clear goals for everybody, then things run smoothly, people have equal expectations, and things go well.
Some people are a lot more independent and driven to learn things by themselves, and some people require a little bit more guidance, and it depends on the personality of the professor, the PI, versus your personality versus the personality of the people around you sometimes. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of really talented people end up quitting science and research. It's a lot more about finding people who you're compatible when you work with them.
Definitely having a lot of people in the lab helps with that. When I first came in, I only had one graduate student and hadn't recruited anyone else to the lab yet, and it was kind of a lonely experience back here. But now we have 3 undergraduate students that work in the lab, so just being busy and having the lab full really helps. I'm also a pretty involved PI. I want to know everything that's going on, so I'm in the lab multiple times a week while people are doing experiments to try to talk to them about what's going on, talk about alterations we should make in the protocol while we're doing it.
One thing that I thought was very helpful was we would have team meetings every week, and each of us research assistants. There were like any given semester, summer, probably around 5 of us, and each of us would take the lead of the meeting. And so, like if it was my week, I would, talk to everybody else on the senior team and research assistants, come up with an agenda, and then each person on the team would kind of talk and give updates as they needed. So I felt like that was a really good way of just setting the tempo for the week, saying like, okay, this is what I did, this is what I'm going to do this week, and here are like some questions I have.
I also like a laid-back atmosphere where people like to work on their own time schedules, because I know everybody's different in how they like to work, and so I like to create a laid-back atmosphere, but at the same time we're very serious about our science, and so when it comes down to actual data, everybody is able to work really hard because they have a relaxed environment.
Another thing that really that I found helpful when I first got there and kind of helped build over time was we had a team handbook, and so new research assistants or new staff could reference the handbook at any point, and it would have just the logistics of like how meetings went, how they're supposed to run, what software we used, when to reach out to the PI and communicate in the office, or how to, if I needed to book a room. Just like the little logistics of how the team was supposed to work. We put all that in the handbook, so I found that was really helpful to reference, even on, as I was approaching the end of my 2 years there, helpful to reference here and there.
For me, I'm fairly independent, so what has worked for me was an orientation where I was given the basics and the information about the resources that I could have access to in case I run into problems. I don't need somebody holding my hand for every little problem that I run into, but when there is a problem, I would like to know what my options are or resources are. So that kind of an orientation has worked really well for me in the past.
Say that for a new professor joining and who's hiring people to come in, I'd say probably the most important thing is to make sure that either the people who you hire feel comfortable coming to talk to you, or you make an effort to make sure you talk to everybody in your lab regularly and make an understanding about the progress of their work, and if there are any kind of conflicts, just sort of keeping that discussion always going.
One piece of advice I would have for a PI opening their own lab would be just to make sure that your research assistants, whether undergrad or graduate, kind of know how their work's being fit into the big picture of your work. And so if they know that like the numbers they're crunching or the research they're doing is going to directly affect your work and how it will fit into it, I think it makes it easier for the student to, I think they'll be able to complete their work more quickly and effectively if they know exactly how things fit in.